Well, Mickey, conclusion of the Metro Bank One Day Cup campaign. Just to start with, how are your thoughts on how the campaign's gone?
Yeah, I guess we've played some really good cricket. It was not. I still think 50 over cricket is a fantastic format, and I thought we were very good at this. 5 wins out of 8 games. Frustratingly, again, lose out on net run rate and not qualify, which is really disappointing because I really believed we were good enough to do it. So that is a disappointment. That's a frustration. Lots of positives. I thought there were a lot of really good positive performances. But again, we want to be in the mix at the end of the comp. And if you look at our white ball season, missed out in the last game in the 2020s when we should have asked it and qualified before that. And again, I felt we should have asked it and qualified before having to go to Durham and win. So frustrations there, but immensely proud of some of the performances, individual performances, but collectively as a team as well, because it's a very, very tired squad. We're a small squad, and the guys have been pushed to the limits. So the way we performed, particularly in the last game against Durham, I thought was exceptional. The boys dug deep and their skills were very good.
I suppose we take it right back to the start at Northamptonshire. I don't think anybody could really say that the squad could have had much belief at the situation that we found ourselves in. But then to win from there, from how our season's gone, you must have been really proud with that fight back. That the belief that there is that winning spirit and that fight in the squad.
Yeah, look, I've never doubted that. We've got a lot of belief in our squad, belief in our own ability, belief in each other's ability. So that's never been doubted, and you have to feel the determination, the effort, the work ethic, which should be par for the course. But our boys have never faltered, and for that I'm proud. You get over the line in a game like that, and it shows trust, it shows belief, it shows that the boys have bought into a collective vision. And that almost kick-started that Metro Bank season for us, because after that we went 2 9-wicket wins, and you wonder what would have happened if we didn't get over the line at Northants. How the season would have ended up. You look at Northants' season; they lost out on that and ended up, I think, winning twice out of 8 games. We take strength from that and end up putting ourselves right in the mix at the end of the comp. So the belief shown there was outstanding.
Another game of full belief was the one down at Taunton, a record chase in List A cricket for Derbyshire. I mean, look at all our games kind of across the competition as a neutral have been outstanding to watch, but you must have been over the moon with, especially Harry Moore, a young guy coming through the academy to be there and be just miles ahead of his age to marshal that chase at the end.
Yeah, exactly. And he's one of those players that I think has been exceptional. He's shown us what he can do, and what he can do is very, very special. He's a very special cricketer, and one that we're going to really look after. But there were so many other good performances. Anuj Dole coming back, the 100 Anuj got was it's one of the best 50 over 100s I've seen. The way he hit the ball, his clarity in the process, his clarity in how he built his innings, his intensity at the wicket. I was exceptional, and his partnership with David Lloyd, I thought was outstanding there, and gave us that belief and got us into the situation to win the game. And then Harry Moore's come in and asked it, which has been fantastic. So really, really happy with those 2 performances. I thought we were very clinical against both Hampshire and Middlesex and Lancashire. I thought we were really good in those games. Hampshire, we were well beaten. I think Abbas and Abbott on that pitch bowled international type spells, and we were well beaten there. Worcestershire, we were well beaten, but that was a disappointment because we weren't at our best. And then the Kent game remains for me the biggest disappointment of our campaign, because we should have asked it there and then. We shouldn't have been going to Durham. We should have already qualified going into the last game. And I know there's a lot of should haves, but that's exactly as I feel. The other thing that we sometimes forget is, for a small squad, and for we've lost 4 people to the 100, and we haven't had Alex Thompson for the whole campaign, who in a 50 over format is invaluable. So we've lost 5 key players from our first choice starting lineup, which often goes under the radar and is not missed out.
Touching on the players, obviously you can't go into too much detail entirely how you feel, but it's got to be difficult when players like Pat are kind of being yo-yoed around between Derbyshire and Northern Superchargers, and then he's back again. You must almost not know where he's going to be, but keeping that team selection consistent is key for a side trying to build momentum and get wins on the board.
Yeah, it is, and I have to say and compliment those players. So the players that have been in the 100 have always wanted to come back to us at the drop of a hat. And, we've had Pat back, we've had Anaran back, and we had Ross back, and those guys want to come and play for us when they want to come and play for the county. So that's very heartening, and again that shows the belief that the players have in where we're going and the project we're on, so that they want to come back and play, which I thought was excellent. Matters would have come at the drop of a hat if he'd been allowed to. What I do think needs to be cleared up is players that don't play in the 100 is to, there's such a trail of paperwork that as a county you've got to go through to get your players back. I think that can be simplified. 100% it can, and I think there needs to be a free flowing movement between the franchise and the counties, because you don't want players just sitting there doing nothing when they could be making a positive impact at their county in the 50 overs. And I know from our boys, all of them wanted to come back and play, which was great.
I suppose you named Ross Whiteley as captain at the beginning of the campaign. I suppose you didn't envisage him disappearing after one game, getting the side over the line in his first game as captain, then he's disappeared for the whole competition. Does that have an effect on your leadership or the group?
Yeah, look, I thought Ross was out. He came in, he was really good. He actually came back and captained us against Hampshire as well. But yeah, him and Summit's leadership styles are slightly different. But again, there was always a constant, because Summit had captained before. I was really keen to have a look at Ross and to see how Ross went in Waipo, and Ross was great. So yeah, it was slightly difficult shuttling between the two, but that just happens in professional sport, and it happens a lot, and guys just take it on the chin and kind of move on. And as long as their own games are in a good place, whoever's captain, it doesn't really matter. As long as the players have their clear role clarity and they're used correctly, you just get on with it.
Competition as a whole, we've missed out on the knockout stages. 5 wins out of 8 is the most since 2011. I know you're not one for the stats, but it is impressive that we've topped that record. Can you put down to maybe not making the qualification stages as the same theme throughout the whole year of key decision making, maybe? Yeah,
exactly that. Key decision making in critical times, much like in our 2020 campaign. We do underestimate, how tough it is when you got whole new faces in the dressing room, players kind of finding each other out, me finding them out, them finding the coaches and myself out, getting their clear roles clearly defined. That does take a little bit of time. We've got a lot of experience though now in our dressing room, and we're a very, very, as I've continually said, I think we're a very, very good team who is on the up and will continue to get better and better. But again, to answer your question, we just like in the 2020s, we should have qualified before our last game. And those things haunt me and keep me awake at night. And I know the players feel it as well. in critical times, there were key decisions that we didn't make cost us. But the one thing I will say is for the last 2 years in the 2020, when we've had the crunch games against Worcestershire last year, against Durham this year, we've been well beaten and underperformed, I guess, if you like. Yesterday, we had to go to Durham with a depleted squad, with guys being held together by tape, extremely tired, and they found a way to play their best game. That for me is a step in the right direction. That for me is a massive positive to take out of that. When it was the competition, because it was still alive when we had won that game, when the competition was alive in a crunch game, as a collective and as a side we stood up, and that's the major I guess achievement that I take out of our 50 over campaign.
I want to highlight two players from the game at Durham who maybe haven't weighed in with the amount of runs they'd have liked across the season. David Lloyd and Harry Kane. This competition has been good for them. Harry's obviously got a century. David, 2 key knocks in big chases. Just a word on them.
Yeah, I thought they were really good, and I think David he's been good. Excuse me, David's been good through the whole year, without getting the big score. I continue to have said to David, he makes the best 20s and 30s I've ever seen, and then finds a way to get out, which is great because he's getting the starts, but not great because he gets out without converting to the big scores. He played 2 key roles for us, and the innings at Somerset was very good, and the innings yesterday was very good. And in the middle there, he really was involved in 2 significant partnerships that got us over the line in those games. That's what I know he's capable of. That's the quality of the player. Harry Kane, he had a little sort of slippery start to the season, if you like, and he was maybe unfairly left out early on, but I wanted to see some quality from him, which we've seen. He responded with a 100, which was exceptional. Got a 70 against Worcestershire when wickets were collapsing around him. Played really well yesterday. When Harry plays with the intent that he played with yesterday and that he played with against Worcestershire, and the 100 was against, seems so long ago, Middlesex. That's the Harry Kane that I know. That's the Harry Kane I want to see, because when he plays with that intent, he makes good positions. He looks to score. His decision-making becomes clearer. That's the Harry Kane I want to see, and I've seen it in this comp. I want to see that continue now in the 4-day stuff, because he's a very, very good player. A player that I've seen develop over 3 years. And who knows what his ceiling is. What I do know is there's a lot of scope for him to get better and better. So I've been delighted for him. Delighted for David. But, you can go Anuj Dal, exceptional. Zach Chappell, I think, leading wicket taker in the comp. Young Harry Moore, brilliant. Lewis Rees has chipped in with kind of 2 innings. Brooke Guest's tempo when he's batted has been outstanding through the competition. He got 180, but every innings he started is the Brooke Guest I want to see every innings, because the way he started, his intent to score is exactly what I want to see from Brooke, and that will elevate him to a better player, and he's got a big ceiling as well. Harry Moore, we've touched on. I mean, his maturity in tough situations has been incredible. His ability to control length when he bowls is outstanding. He's only 17. He's been brilliant. Pat Brown comes in and gets a fifer for us, and so everybody has had some impact. Haven't even spoken about Summit, who's every time he's bowled his 10 overs, he's never been collared, never been taken apart. He's done a wonderful job for us, and so invested in the club and our performance that it's great to see. So there's been a lot of positives, but again, I sit here frustrated that haven't got a quarter-final tomorrow.
We're talking about these players. Mentioned Zach, who's been absolutely outstanding in this tournament. and you spoke about people getting starts. How do then the coaching staff make sure players like David Lloyd, Brooke Guest can then convert and kick on those scores? Because you look at, maybe if we did that, then we'd be sitting here and talking about even a home semi-final with the start that we had.
No, and that's a good point. But I think for the people watching this, the people need to know that there's constant communication. These players are better players now than they were this time last year, and within our coaching structure, we continually challenge our players to get better and better and better. And as I've said, we make no apologies for that. As long as we see the players growing, then the coaching staff are doing their job. Now, I see players grow constantly. I just want to see them become the best player they can be. And who knows what the ceiling of the players are. There'll come a time where they reach their ceiling, and then we'll know. I haven't seen players reach their ceiling yet, which excites me. But every day there's communication. Every day coaches are involved in discussions with those players to make them better. There's a constant review after every game as to how they went and what we need to improve and what we did well. So there's constant feedback. I'd like to think our setup is run as professionally as any setup we've been in. I made the comment that I want our setup to be and to run like an international standard setup, and by and large we do that. So that communication is continuing and never ends. So hopefully that's the catalyst into making those players better players.
Season's not, no, we've still got 5 county championship games. Does look maybe on the surface that the squad's a bit depleted. The One Day Cup has taken a couple of players from injury. So what does the rest of the season look like for the squad, coaching staff?
Well, we've given the players a couple of days off now. As I say, the players are battered. As we sit now today, I've got 13 fit players for next week. That's all we got. I'm going to have a look at do we loan some players? Do we get some players in? I'm going to have a look at that over the next couple of days, because the volume of cricket on a small squad has certainly taken its toll, particularly in the bowling department. We haven't had the season we've wanted to in red ball cricket, and that for me is a big bugbear as well. We're going to refresh. We're going to come back. I've asked our coaches to come back with some fresh ideas. I've got a couple of fresh ideas that we want to implement. I think we need to reevaluate where we are in the red ball comp. We probably need to reevaluate roles, and we need to finish. We've got 5 games. We need to finish these strong, which then sets us up for the next season. And we can go into so much detail as to what happened with our red ball season. We can talk about, we had 2 gun overseas bowlers lined up, and through no fault of theirs and external circumstances, we didn't have them. Had our first game rained out totally. We never got any rhythm or any tempo to our cricket. So there's been mitigating factors. I'm never going to use those as excuses, though, because we need to get our red ball cricket on track, and that for me is a massive priority.
Is a lot about harnessing the momentum and saying to the players that they've got performances in themselves. Pat Brown, Zach Chappell with bat and ball, David Lloyd, Harry Kane. Players have got those performances, and it's just about making sure we're applying ourselves in the red ball, because there is, like you said, there is a good team there.
There's a very good team there. We've put together a team that I think in time will contend for promotion. Without a doubt it will. But yes, we need to consistently perform. And the one thing we haven't done is we haven't been consistent with our performances. I want us still to win the big moments in games, and we haven't won those big moments in games yet. That's like really important for me. We've got to win those big moments, which we haven't done. Good teams, when they sense an opportunity, they take it. We haven't done it. We did it yesterday in Durham. We need to do that consistently across red ball and white ball in order to be a successful team. Collectively, we have to own that. So those are the messages that we continually spruik out, and those are the scenarios we continually practice. I just want to see our players get better and better. I want to see them rock up every day thinking today is going to be the best day of my life. I wanted when we battle bowl that the next ball at that point in time is the most important thing in your life. That's the desperation we've got to have our players playing with. And they know that because I tell them that every day. So I'm looking forward to the county championship, the 5 games we got left, and I'm really looking forward to seeing who puts their hand up, who takes that baton on, and hopefully we get the wins that I know we're capable of, that will set up next season, because we're going to get promoted. That is my biggest driving force at this club. Is I want this club to be a Division 1 club, and I do think we're starting to get the basics in place for that. I really do. Players just need to take that on board and believe that, and we'll be good.
Mickey, pleasure as always. Thank you.
Thank you.